Hey y'all, happy Metta Monday. I hope that this video finds you well, no matter when you're watching it, where you're watching it. I hope that this message is able to meet you where you're at. As I know that it's been a while since I have posted a Metta Monday, it is quite timely. I have been gearing up for really this information and this episode in particular to be able to deliver to you with everything going on in, we'll just say, the atmosphere, moving at God's speed has been the only pace that I have been able to move. Getting this information to you has been empowering that. And with no further ado, I'm just going to get right to it. In the past few weeks that I have been incognito, whatever, haven't posted on Metta Monday, a friend of mine sent me a poem. One of my old-time best friends. At some point, I'm sure that this sweet space will be able to meet her. Her name is Eliza. I love you. And she sent me this poem, and it was right on time. You know when you get that message from that friend and it's just like, oh, you just know. That's when she sent me this. So I'm just gonna share it with you to open up the episode because it really intertwines everything in. And of course it does, right? So the poem says, I lied and said I was busy. I was busy, but not in a way that most people understand. I was busy taking deeper breaths. I was busy silencing irrational thoughts. I was busy calming a racing heart. I was busy telling myself that I am okay. Sometimes this is my busy, and I will not apologize for it. B. Oakman. So I'm just gonna let that take a moment to resonate with you, wherever you're at, wherever you are at, whatever you are doing, whatever your life consists of, and whatever you consume. I hope that that's able to meet you where you're at and allow you to feel a little bit more unapologetic for needing to unplug in this time. Yeah, because we're in crazy times, y'all. We're in crazy times. And speaking of crazy times, I'm just going to be brief. It's been a lot. The atmosphere has been a lot since Inauguration Day. Things have been quite hot and heavy over here. If you have your phone in your hand every day, you already know that there's quite a bit of news that we're consuming at this time. It's hard to keep your eyes off of it. Seems like every day there's something new to chew on, and my jaws are quite tight from chewing on everything. And so, recently I told my partner, I was like, I don't know what exactly it is. I can't quite put my finger on it just yet, but it feels like there is like a thickening behind my eyes and a tightness in my throat, and like my jaw is just clenched. And I wasn't quite sure where this was coming from, what I needed to do about it. And I was just like, I'm just gonna let it be. Like, at some point, obviously, I'm just gonna cry. And whenever that is, it is gonna be when it needs to be. And so I just carried on, making my yoga classes and doing my one-on-ones with yoga and putting on a really sweet face with carrying out the weddings that I plan and coordinate and decorate with that mask that I'm quite skilled at throwing on. Kind of just pretending like everything's fine. And I noticed that a yoga therapist that works at the yoga school that I just graduated from, whoop whoop, shout out Practice Yoga Austin, was hosting a virtual pop-up. And I was like, okay, checked out the date, it worked for me, checked out the time, it worked for me. And I was just like, all right, I'll set aside some time to take care of that. And the host was Jen Wooten. If you know Jen Wooten, you know there's quite a bit of magic there. And you trust her with your nervous system. Hello. She owns the business Via Somatic. And I'm just going to tell you all just a little bit about Via Somatic before I get into my experience with her virtual pop-up. So I'm going to take a step back and just... My point of telling you about this virtual pop-up is that many people have been asking me, how do you navigate your mental health and manage sitting with couples talking about their wedding, a magical, special day that you want to be timeless and unforgettable, and also sit with other people's mental health in a one-on-one space to help them to overcome anxiety and depression, and still have time for you, still have time for your partner. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But honestly, the answer is small practices. And so this pop-up, this virtual pop-up, hosted by Via Somatic, Jen Wooten being the leader, was one of those small practices that I decided to take. I decided to receive time with myself, and I was intentional and mindful about putting that time away and putting it on my calendar to make sure that it happened. Because sometimes when you're transitioning from that space of being a caregiver, of being a doer, with all the things that there are for us to do, and that endless list that feels like it just continues to carry on, it can be like, dang, like it is 10 a.m. and all day I've been taking care of this for the kids, taking care of this for my partner, the dogs, my boss, my employees, my staff, my mom, my dad, whatever it may be. Hello. And then the day's gotten completely away from you. And yeah, maybe work tasks have gotten done and caregiving things have gotten done, but you never quite got to that thing that had been itching at you all day to take care of for yourself. You're like, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll get to it later. And the next thing you know, it's been a week, a month, a season, a year. And yes, I'm calling you out. And later has not come. Later never comes. So I got into this practice, and I try my best to stay disciplined to this practice of putting my time, the time that I fill Sydney's cup, the time that I just check in with Sydney, aside. And truly aside by putting it on the calendar to be able to take up space, to be able to meet myself where I'm at and have those honest conversations of, hey girl, where you at? How you been? How's it going? And really have that moment to look in the mirror. So this pop-up, this virtual pop-up, was finally my look in the mirror moment, because I had been running around, shifting between a wedding that was out of the city that I live in, back into the city to be there for some friends for events that they had, out of the city to talk to a nonprofit about some events they need hosted, back into the city to show up for some things for some family, back out of the city for another wedding. You get that. You get the gist. You understand. And I was going to yoga. I was doing yoga and sharing yoga, but I hadn't quite sat in stillness with the honest conversation with myself of, energetically things just feel odd with so much criticism, judgment, and resource hogging happening in the atmosphere. So Jen Wooten, also feeling some of the same ways, was like, how do I serve my community? How do I take care of people's nervous systems? So a little bit about Jen, which, spoiler alert, next episode you'll be hearing from the Jen Wooten. We're going to have a conversation about the events that she has coming up. So I tell you this with the intention to give you insight on what she has coming up, to see if these events can take care of you the way that her recent one was able to take care of my heart, my soul. So she is the owner of Via Somatic. She's a founder of Via Somatic, and Via Somatic is I'm reading their website straight for you, and it will be down in the episode description below so you can check it out yourself. But Via Somatic has nervous system coaches who are registered, certified 500-hour yoga teachers and certified yoga therapists that help individuals and groups navigate the challenges of stress, trauma, anxiety, and depression. They are trusted in the wellness community. And when I say wellness, I don't mean fitness. While that's a benefit that likely comes along the way, I mean wellness, well-being, the whole body. So you can argue that a lot of the practices that they share are very holistic for mental health. And they specialize in the nervous system health and recovery from stress and trauma. Via Somatic, through the body, is how they help others to heal. So I go to the pop-up and I'm reading the next pop-up, which you should absolutely get yourself into, get yourself signed up. It is online. Like I said, it will be in the description. You'll find it here. But the virtual pop-up says a somatic healing experience that supports health, nervous system, and direct political action. And it says, how do we keep peace and joy alive when the world feels like it's falling apart? It's hard, but it is possible. Not by ignoring the chaos, but by learning how to hold both awareness and resilience, stress and joy, reality and rest. It starts with knowing your nervous system, finding your people, and a shared purpose. Because resilience isn't a state, it is a skill. It says, join us for a donation optional virtual pop-up to call your nervous system back home to clarity and support. And so this event is going to happen on March the 25th on a Tuesday virtually at 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And it is free, and it's suggested to donate for sure. And so the last donation, which I thought was the icing on the cake of this event, was that every donation went toward American Gateways, which is a nonprofit that has been serving the the Central Texas immigrant community since 1987. That is 38 years for those of you who were interested in the quick math. 38 years, that's longer than breath has been in my lungs. It says that their mission, I'm now on their website, it says that their mission is to champion the dignity and the human rights of immigrants, refugees, and survivors of persecution, torture, conflict, and human trafficking through exceptional immigration, legal services at no or low cost, education, and advocacy. Their core values are compassion, hello Metta, community, and professionalism. So your donations help their volunteers network between attorneys, doctors, psychologists, and other professionals who donate their time and their expertise to further their mission, and that their services are open to everyone who meets their income guidelines and case priorities. They do not discriminate based on race, religion, nationality, gender, or sexual orientation, like some people in the atmosphere that you're feeling do. I'm just gonna throw that in there because that's how I'm feeling this morning. But it felt so enriching to be able to donate to a nonprofit that does such exceptional work. And that answer to that question for a lot of people have been asking me, like, what I feel called to action to do work in this political climate. What do I do? What is there for me to do? And if you now still today have that question, there are many different things that we can put our hands into getting with community and like-minded people. But particularly right now, if you are in a space to be able to donating to nonprofits that are doing the one-on-one in the trenches real work and funding them because they are going without funds now because of particular reasons, specific reasons being that they are defunded by our president in the United States. So getting these nonprofits funds is huge right now, and it might not feel like you're doing anything, but you absolutely are. So to be able to give, to be able to be in a position financially to be able to give to others is a huge way to take action right now. And to be able to do that while also taking care of myself with this hour and a half with an exceptional nervous system coach, trauma therapist, yoga therapist was, hello, the cherry on top. So I get into the virtual pop-up, I've set up my space, I have my plants out, some candles lit, some Palo Santo burning, some sage burning, and I tap in with slowing down and following Jen throughout the movement. And there wasn't much movement. A lot of the movement was breathing, which I hadn't recognized that my breathing was shallow and my breathing was stuck, which is crazy because I teach people to breathe in yoga. And so being a facilitator of something, sometimes we can get carried away in not practicing the practices that we share because we're so used to taking care of others. And if this is you, this is your reminder to take care of yourself and to practice with yourself the practices that you share to take care of others, the things that you know you were drawn to, you did in your human experience, and you just knew that they would help other people. Make sure that you're continuing to practice that in your own embodiment because there was a reason that you wanted to share it. And I, in the past few weeks, was so deeply ingrained in just sharing, share. And I forgot the receive part. And I could feel it. You know, I'd wake up in the morning and my hands were just like this, and I'm curled up in a ball and my jaw is tight and my breathing was sharp and shallow. And I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like I just fought somebody all night. Feels like a train has ran me over. And yeah, because I was contracting my hands and fists, my shoulders folded over, my neck in like a turtle. And I needed to sense more openness in my posture so I could sense that in my heart. And in this virtual pop-up with Jen, my body was able to be reminded of all of those opening embodied expressions to be able to actually breathe from the bottom of my lungs all the way out, and then receive breath in and take that all the way down to my lungs. And once it got to that all the way down to my lung space, ground down through that. I took a couple of notes after the event with Jen, just about how I was feeling. And so I share this with you to entice you, of course, to get in there next month and sense what this feels like, sense what peace and calm feels like. And so here we go. First thing I put on here, rest and digest activated. Quick blurb for you. When you're in a stress and trauma response, your body is elevated. And elevation looks different for everyone. But when I said elevated, something might have came to your mind of what that looks like for you, what that feels like for you. And so when your goal is to nourish somebody's nervous system, hello, Jen Wooten, hello, Sam Pullen, the other nervous system coach that hosts and works with Via Somatic, the intention is to get one's nervous system back to a rest and digestive state, where your body is able to be in a state of actual healing and processing and taking care and resting. So I said I had to have a growl in my tummy, and I was yawning, and I felt very rested from this yawn, not exhausted, meaning the parasympathetic nervous system had been turning on. And that tightness that I had expressed was behind my eyes. I knew that a cry was there, and nothing was getting your girl to cry. I was putting on all the good movies to try to move that energy. Nothing was happening. I was just like, that fear, that stress, that trauma, that political stuff had put me into a freeze response. I was frozen. And the only thing that my body knew to carry out was the doing, the programmed doing that I do. And we'll call it even airplane mode, because I'm still able to move in these ways that carry out these jobs while still being in a stress response, a trauma response of being frozen, because they're so deeply ingrained in there. And what my body really wanted was a reset. I needed to hit that hard reset button. And the reset button was these practices that my body was able to be reminded, hey, this feels good. And this can take care of you. And Jen was able to lead us through this virtually, like 70 people virtually, in your own taken up space through this process. And I know this because while on my back doing the breath work after some movement, once I was able to drop in that list, that never-ending list of things to do, just did not matter. Doing something for my partner, the dogs, clients, didn't matter. What mattered in that moment was me and my breath and taking care and being well without striving for it, but just being open and willing and listening to each invitation by Jen on how to get there. And suddenly I'm on my back and I'm breathing, and then just tears stream gently down my eyes and into my hairline, and I could feel again. And it was special. And I knew, that tightness that was in my throat and my jaw, it just wasn't there anymore. And I didn't do any overthinking. There was no analysis paralysis about it. I wasn't like, why was it like that? And how was it like that now? I just existed and feeling peace and calm and stepping out of overwhelm and unsafe. And I was able to do this even more so with Jen being very honest and vocal and recognizing and saying, there was something specific that she said that I wrote down that I want to share with you. It says, feeling overwhelmed about the government and what is happening in our world, but unable to feel it and take care of the emotion that it brings up because we need to go to work and make a living. Ooh. I want to feel, but I can't be late to work. I'm sure that resonates with many people. And nothing comes from a dysregulated nervous system that is stuck in survival mode and in a trauma response. By the end of the session, for myself, by the end of the session, I had visions of sharing this experience with friends in my home in the following months to come, that Via Somatic will have these pop-ups. And I had visions of sharing this with you today. And my mind was able to hit clarity. Being a creative being, I had so much creative congestion. I had so much blockage. The creations, the ideas, they just weren't coming to me, or they had nowhere to go because I was so frozen and so stuck. And that's part of the ebbs and flows of life. So how do we unstick ourselves? What practices do we do to unstick ourselves? I'll tell you one I know that's coming up on March 25th on a Tuesday. It's Via Somatic's virtual pop-up. And it will help you. And it'll meet you where you're at. I guarantee that. I know at the bottom of my heart, because I've experienced myself, it will be able to meet you where you're at. So take the time, find the link in the description below, and sign up for your free, which is ridiculous because this is quality work. This is quality coaching. This is quality therapy, somatic therapy. If you are somebody who you have a practice with your talk therapist, and it might just feel like you keep hitting this wall, like your own self-turmoil, and you've been able to validate your thought processes in your mind and in the life that you carry out, what your things are, but it just doesn't feel like you're breaking that cycle. Highly recommend you seeing a yoga therapist so you can move that energy somatically. And hello, you get to do it free, virtually, from wherever you decide, with a yoga therapist at March's pop-up with Via Somatic on a Tuesday, March the 25th, telling you again so that you will put it down on your calendar. I'll get off of my soapbox now because I want to keep this nice, sweet, and short for you. There is nothing else for you to do in this moment other than register yourself for that beautiful experience, that beautiful event, and watch next week's episode where we will be graced by the powers that be to be able to speak to the one and only yoga therapist, woman extraordinaire, Jen Wooten. And she will share quite a bit with us, and feeling like we should take some time to maybe gather up some questions that if you were in a room with Jen Wooten, what would you want to ask her? If you have been to her practices before and you're just like, oh my gosh, like every time I leave her class, I feel something lighter. I feel something better. I feel less heavy. And you want to ask this woman one thing, what would it be? What would you want to ask Jen Wooten? Because we will have her on Metta Monday, next Monday, and I will ask her your question if you send it over to me. Also, we'll hear about the Via Somatic event that she is hosting with Sam Pullen. Hello. If you watch this, you just obviously have to or already know about Sam Pullen. We will also, in the coming weeks, have a conversation with Sam Pullen, so be on the lookout for that Metta Monday episode. Jen Wooten, Sam Pullen are hosting a Saturday event, March the 15th, 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Sliding scale is optional if you email Via Somatic directly, and the location will be in East Austin. The investment has even been lowered for you to $125 for this experience. It says from overwhelm to ease. We will hear from Jen Wooten about what this beautiful event will hold for you. I'm gonna be there. I hope that you are there. And so to close up this practice, this episode, I invite you, with all that excitement, I get excited about it because I'm a nervous system nerd, with all that excitement, or even some freeze in your system, or some fight, or some flight, or some flop, or some fawn, I invite you to close your eyes, or soften your gaze, or keep your eyes fixed on me on the screen. Doesn't matter, but I invite you to receive a deep breath into the nose and fill all the way up. We'll hold the breath together and we'll sip in just a little bit more air. Expand and then we'll release together. Exhale and empty all the way out. All of your breath. Keep emptying, and then we'll breathe into the nose. We'll hold together. Sip in a little bit more air. Expand and release. Clench in your jaw, and then we'll release together. Exhale and let out all of the air. We'll inhale for a 3 count. 3, 2, 1. We'll hold for a 3 count. 3, 2, 1. And then exhale through straw lips for a 6 count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Empty all the way out and then breathe in for 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Release out through straw lips for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In through your nose for 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Release out through straw lips for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Completely empty the breath out and then receive breath all the way in. And then we'll exhale. Allow your breath to flow organically in your nose and out your mouth. Soften your eyebrows, your temples, your jaw, your lips, your throat, your chest, the whole face. Find a little bit more ease somewhere, anywhere. Maybe it's releasing the tongue from the top of the mouth, the jaw from itself. Noticing the breath a little bit more. Just finding ease somewhere, no effort, no work, nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to do, anything for, just existing. Into the nose, a refreshing breath, breathing all of that in, and exhaling, making space and letting something go. if just that little breathing practice helped you just now in this moment. The person who introduced that practice to me was Jen Wooten. And it has changed my breath. It has changed my life. It has changed my ability to take care of myself, because it is now a tool in my toolbox that I pull out when the overwhelm sets in. And somehow it gets me back to my body, back to my heart, out of my mind, every time. So now it's in your toolbox to take care of yourself, and there can be more things in your toolbox. After March 25th's free, with a donation, virtual event. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Take deep care of yourself. You're not alone. Others are feeling quite a bit of heaviness too. Take care. Namaste.